Insurance is good, they're
We're good.
getting higher
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah,
to get it.
our insurance on our condos.
All right, seeing as how it's 6:30, we'll get the meeting started. I'll call the meeting to order. Could we take roll call, please?
Yes. All right. Polda.
Here.
Smithback.
Here.
Bano.
Here.
Marr.
Here,
And Van Campen.
Here.
We have a few excused absences tonight.
Excellent. Seeing as how we have a quorum, we will move forward with the agenda. Item 3A is approval of minutes from September 5th of 2024. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Larry.
Larry, Marr.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 4A, public appearances. At this time, we open up the floor to anybody in the community that would like to speak on a topic that is or is not on the agenda. If you are here and would like to speak on something, please feel free to step forward. We ask you try to keep it to 3 minutes if possible. Please note that if it is a topic that is on the agenda and there's a public hearing, we will have a chance for you to speak at that time as well, but you are welcome to speak at any time. Is there somebody that'd like to speak? Seeing none, we'll keep moving. Item 5, communication and miscellaneous business, we have none. Item 6, unfinished business, we have none. And item 7, new business, 7A, public hearing, discussion and consideration, or let me just slow down.
I was gonna
No,
say.
we have a really packed agenda, John. so
Yeah,
I wanna make
and
sure we
I
get
gotta
it all.
switch to decaf after 5. Public hearing, discussion and consider recommendation to the village board for a general development plan to allow for a general development plan, to allow for planned development zoning. That
There might
was,
be a typo there.
I really, I'm just reading it. Planned development zoning at 279 Peterson Trail for well house number 6. The applicant is the Village of Oregon. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. And I will ask if staff could give us a report, please.
Yes, I will kick us off and then hand it over to Lauren. So I think you all might remember, it's been a couple months, but Lauren Striegel's our Assistant Public Works Director, Village Engineer, so she's here to fill in all the technical details. But we came before you all a few months ago with well number 3, which is over on Hillcrest and East Netherwood, and a site plan for that. So that was approved for a small addition over there. And then well number 6, a new well house. So well number 6 is in the Highlands of Netherwood neighborhood on Peterson Trail. The well was drilled in the fall of 2022 and has been capped since then. Not a lot of houses built on that section. It's kind of a future phase there, so not a lot of neighbors over there. But the time has now come to build the pump house. And the reason it's here before you as a planned development zoning with GDP, and just the GDP step, not the SIP yet, is that this is in our rural holding zoning district. So that's typically used for parks and more kind of public facilities. This does have a trail and some green space, obviously, on the site. It's kind of a funky shaped parcel. But rather than rezone the property, it's kind of just as much work to just do a GDP and leave this, since it does still have a park and kind of trail function on the site. So the rural holding district, again, because it's typically more large parks, large parcels, has pretty large setbacks. So the two setbacks that will need flexibility for are a side yard setback of 20 feet. Typically, rural holding only allows 50 feet by right. And then a rear yard setback of 20 feet. So again, 50 feet is typically what's allowed by right for rural holding. So it's mostly just based on the shape of the parcel and just the fact that it's this type of zoning within the neighborhood. But this has been the plan from the get-go, is that obviously the well would be there, then the well house too. So I'll hand it over to Lauren to kind of explain a little bit more about the purpose of the building. So right now, we're just obviously at the zoning step. We decided to hold back on the SIP because there are a couple other things in play at the moment, as far as some redesign that the GNR has requested for a pipe, which will kind of explain doesn't really affect the location or the look of the building too much. Definitely not the location of the building, but we also wanted to get some feedback from you all on siding and garage doors and things like that before they make some final decisions. So I think we anticipate hopefully being back at the November Planning Commission meeting with the SIP to get that wrapped up. And then I think the hope is that, depending on weather, maybe getting started January or so of this winter. So Lauren, do you want to fill in the details about the building and some of the function and the space? I know the garage is kind of a sort of an accessory use to the pump, the well itself, and then what's going on with the DNR. It'll be great.
Sure.
So, one moment if I could, but,
Yeah.
so I guess what I would suggest then is that we move into the next phase, which would be the petitioner's comments. Lauren, take it away.
All right. So I think that if we want to tackle the GDP first, it's probably easiest to go to page 29 of the packet. That actually shows the current setbacks as well as the proposed setbacks.
Okay.
A little further. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yep, and I can speak a little bit about this. Obviously, this is a well house, and like Elise said, it's kind of a dual use out here. So the primary purpose is as a well house, both to supply our primary water pressure zone here in the village, but also to supply, a localized high pressure zone in the village or in the Highlands of Netherwood development. So there are lots in that development up on Peterson Trail that are actually high enough topographically that they need water pressure boosted. They could not be served off of our primary zone. Technically, they could be served off of our high pressure zone, but that is far, far to the south and would require a tremendous amount of money and work to get a pipe all the way up there. So way back prior to my time, certainly something that Jeff was a part of was figuring out that the most efficient way to do this would be to actually put in this small booster station at this already planned well house to serve those lots and future development that's also topographically high if it were to happen just to the west of the Highlands area. Originally, as Elise said, we were looking at presenting both, or petitioning for both the GDP and the SIP. We were very proud. We put together all kinds of plans and architectural details, and in the last week, the Wisconsin DNR came and said, there's something here we don't like. You have an overflow pipe that is buried, and we'd like you to change that. So in a well, if you have a reservoir or a clear well below ground, you have to have a safe overflow pipe out of that in case all of the pumps fail, water is rising. Water has to be able to get out, so there is no kind of danger to the well house or danger to the public water supply. And traditionally, we've always buried those pipes. That is the case at all of our other wells. The DNR has reinterpreted the statute, we'll say, and decided that they want that pipe visible along its entire run, such that if it is damaged, you can see it immediately and there is no potential contamination. And so we were told that we had to essentially expose 4 feet of the below grade area within the last week. And our team started working on it, but we didn't want to rush the packet. We didn't want to rush into this. And so what we decided to do after talking to Elise is go in for the GDP, but hopefully take advantage of this time and you all being here to present what we do have for the architectural drawings and kind of our artistic side, the landscaping, as well as what we're thinking for that overflow pipe, and get any feedback from you guys so that when we do come back in November, we're presenting something that you guys are positive about. So do you want to go back to the architectural? Yep, so this is just kind of a front view of it, as well as I think a side view down below. We did bring this, like Elise said, a little while ago to the Plan Commission. One of the things we did ask about was whether you guys would prefer what's the term? It's not a gable roof, it's the other kind.
Hip.
Hip roof, yes, hip or gable roof. The commission or the committee did say that they preferred a gable roof, and so we have implemented that here. We also talked a little bit about the facade and how you'd like to see kind of just straight brickwork broken up. And we've taken kind of your thoughts into account there. We've put in some soldier courses to kind of break up that visual. We've also put in some windows up high to allow light in, but to not have a full window that is either a fake window or anything that the commission didn't really like. So that should give enough natural light for our crews to work around in that building, as well as kind of break up that straight brick facade. Keep going, I think. That's just the back of the well house. That's not probably all that interesting. It might be best to just go down to the rendering, which I think is near the end. Yep, so this is our architect's rendering of those architectural details. It does not, of course, show the landscaping, but it kind of shows a good idea of what we were thinking as far as that facade and those windows. Now, we did reach out to FDG and ask them for their thoughts on this as the developer out here. One item that they brought up for consideration was, would we be open to putting windows in the garage door instead of just having a straight sealed off garage door? And we said, sure. We had initially dismissed that idea kind of internally because we went out and looked at all the houses out there. None of those garage doors did have windows, and so we wanted to keep it in line with that. But due to FDG's request, as well as kind of their rightful pointing out that houses have a lot more windows throughout the structure that kind of break that up, we did bring some garage door options here tonight so that the Plan Commission can kind of consider and maybe provide some feedback on whether that's something you guys think would fit well or whether you'd prefer not to see that out there. Do you want me to keep going with kind of my spiel and then turn it over? I think the one last thing that I did want to bring up then before discussion is, it's going to be Jeff in that attachment to the email, the infamous overflow pipe. So as our engineers were considering things this week, after going through a number of grading scenarios, one idea that kept coming out as kind of a feasible one and perhaps the least disruptive to the site, it was bringing that overflow pipe out where it needed to come out and keeping about 4 feet of that lower level exposed, and then running that pipe towards the back of the lot where we could start to catch up on grade and discharging it to kind of an open platform back there. We would pull contours back so that it could drain into a ditch running along the back. We did think of a number of different other options. Unfortunately, not a lot of them were great, quite frankly. The DNR's preferred choice would have been to just bring the pipe out and immediately discharge. And in that case, we were really probably looking at a 4 or 5 foot retaining wall right next to a bike path, which for safety reasons and aesthetic reasons, we really, really didn't like. The DNR also suggested that we could simply redesign the entire structure to move the clear well. The well is already drilled. That was not quite as easy as perhaps they had anticipated it would be. And so, like I said, we did come up with this solution as what we thought was probably the least disruptive to the process. What we had kind of envisioned here is, while it's not shown with the brick continuing down, we would continue that brick down so it simply looked like a taller brick building along this side, as well as along any exposed concrete along the back of the building while we tried to catch back up in grade. We also kind of mapped out, yep, right there, how the ground would have to be sloped around there. It's shallow enough that it could be maintained away from the building, and we also envisioned putting some kind of like plant screening out there, whether it's bushes or arborvitae, to kind of hide that pipe a little bit and be a safer option for anybody using that trail versus an immediate steep drop off back there. I think that's probably about it unless there are questions.
All right, thank you. Anybody have so at this time, then we will move into public comments. Is there anybody in the public that would like to ask a question on this? Seeing none, we'll move into Plan Commission comments. Anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions on what Lauren has mentioned?
We're looking for direction on the windows?
If you have thoughts on the windows, we're really looking for any kind of feedback if you have suggestions on how to improve any of the architectural details. So if there's anything in there you're not wild about, you think could be better, we'd love to hear about it. Now's a great opportunity for it.
I would just say, on the windows, Jeff, you had a couple that you passed by there.
On the garages?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are gonna look industrial. I don't think that I don't think that's what they're looking for. I'm thinking more of a traditional, what you see in residential.
Something like this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if that's what they're trying to achieve, and that
Yes.
will work for.
Yes.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I think you're gonna have the opposite effect. It's gonna look
Right.
more industrial, not less.
Yep.
I think the
Okay.
more you can look at like panels that will look a little less garage, or a little less,
Yeah. Or
institutional
the-
garage or
Yeah, or the
commercial.
fire department.
And,
yeah.
something that's, a little more modern. I mean, this looks really nice.
Yeah.
But when you start to look at things like this.
Yeah, then
looks-
yeah.
I mean, this is what we have on our garage right down at the Public Works garage,
Yeah.
and this is pretty typical. I think on the new, I think we have this on the new garage that just went up, out at the park, JC Park.
Yep.
Except they're here and here, not here. So, and then I think there might be some other options you have here. Even these would look nice, I mean, in a, also door color too, that can change a lot of things. Lauren, have you discussed that at all? I mean, cause I know white is almost always commercial / industrial.
I think our initial idea was for something like an off-white,
Yeah.
so
Even a
not
tan
quite
or
that bright white, but still a cleaner look.
Tan or sandstone or something like that, with
Something
the
goes
brick
with
that
the
you
brick.
have that'll really take cause the doors are really tall too.
Right.
I guess if, I don't feel real strongly about the architectural aesthetic of this because it's a utility building. So I don't feel super strongly about having to take the brick down with the brick ledge, for instance.
Okay.
I just think that that's adding cost in a place that really doesn't need to have cost spent.
Sure.
What I would suggest is, I like the idea of what you were offering for windows. I would probably still keep them up higher for security purposes or safety. I would only put one row in and one panel. I don't think there's any reason to go to two or more. The color, probably try to find something if you could to match the accent brick.
Okay.
But again, I don't feel ultimately super strongly about that as well.
You could match this door
Perfect,
color here, I think, with.
yeah,
I mean, you can see how this stands out
Yeah.
yeah,
dramatically
Yeah.
against this versus this just kinda
yeah.
blends. And you were thinking like the windows kind of more
Just-
like skylight type, or what are they called, clear story? Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just up higher, like maybe in line with that accent brick course
Yeah.
there, and that second panel
That's a good
down, or
idea.
something like that. I would suggest on your landscape plan, I really like the idea of using, the prairie planting around this. I think that's a fabulous idea and a good use for it in this location. I would take the 3 shrubbery that you have there and move them closer to the entry door.
Sure.
And I would probably take that flowering crab, which kind of just seems to be hanging out there, and move it closer to the building, probably to the left corner there, front left, where the bushes were.
Right here?
Yeah. And then I would suggest, because of the pipe that's gonna be exposed between that building and the bike path, put another hedgerow on the bike path side.
Sure.
You know, bushes are a lot cheaper than brickledge and hiring a mason to lay brick and just make that thing disappear. And I leave it up to staff to determine how long and how many bushes, you know.
I was thinking, one of the things we just did, because we had, if you remember over on the villas, Highlands and the villas, and there was that path over there that got really high. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm. I don't.
And we ended up making them put just a two-rail split fence along there, and it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
I was thinking if this is having to be cut down, people are always concerned when you start dropping off. I mean, it'd be nice, you know, just even a couple sections of that split rail fencing along here.
Yeah, I leave that up to your
Yeah.
discretion. To me, it's a utility building. And I think that you guys have done a great job of sort of
Yep.
making it be aesthetically pleasing, fit into the neighborhood, and be a good neighbor. So,
One of the things I know that it did come up in the discussion tonight, but that you should be aware of, just long-term wise, this area right here is kind of being reserved, for if we ever have to do any kind of water treatment, either for radium removal, PFOS removal, what's the blue baby syndrome, nitrates, anything like that. So we've kind of reserved, what, about a 30 by 30 foot
Roughly.
area right here. And you'll see the building was, you know, would actually be able to adapt to that pretty well.
well, the other question is just more of a broader question, and this is for Elise. And I know that it's kind of off topic, but in this zoning, rural holding, would there be any value for us to make it easier for this type of, I mean, it's a needed building. And it seems crazy in a certain sense to have to do a PUD for it. Is there any way that the next time we do a zoning code that we look at doing public buildings or public service buildings or utility buildings?
Yeah, because right now I think it's just residential and non-residential, which of course, non-residential could be like a commercial building, not a public use. I think usually, uses like this are more in like an
I was
institutional
gonna say,
zoning.
yeah, it really should have been institutional. We probably missed it when we did the transfer up to the site.
Right, and it was just all part of the
Do you
trail, I
remember-
mean,
Yeah.
well-
Do you remember when we used to have the old site of this? The old site of this was exactly where those 9 little row houses are across from the Highlands Park.
Oh.
that was where the well house was.
We had, remember, I don't know if you remember, but originally we purchased a 1.7 acre parcel there from the landowner before it became Highlands of Netherwood. And that was where well 6 and the facility was going to go. We had established that at the time. When Highlands and Netherwood came in, we did work out a deal with them, and it actually was beneficial for both because our wellhead protection plan would have put that too close to some of the septic systems that are directly to the north and east, okay? So we ended up doing an exchange with them for this parcel. But I think kind of where some of the confusion was is I think that probably was institutional at the time. And then some of this, since this is also an outlot that is contained, that contains the public path, I think that's probably where the rural holding kind of became involved and everything, so.
Okay. Well, I just, maybe something to
It'd
consider and
make it
discuss the
easier,
next
yeah.
time.
Right,
So, that's all.
right, they can exist probably in either zoning district, but yeah, making sure that hopefully we're not, I don't know when the next time is, we'll be building another well house, but you never know, or it's
Right.
a,
With things growing
We
like
may
they
not
are.
hear,
who
Greg
knows?
will be here, but we may not.
yeah.
That's fair. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns?
I just agree, it doesn't look like a house, I don't think we should try to make it look any fancier than it is. Yeah, keep it,
Yeah.
look nice, but modest.
All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Item 7, discussion and possible recommendation to the village board regarding a general development plan to allow for a planned development zoning at 279 Peterson Trail for Well House 6. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a
Phil?
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
For discussion only, item B, updates on the tabled zoning text amendments regarding concealed fasteners on metal buildings and chicken and beekeeping. Elise,
Okay, let me
Take it away.
get back over here. So as you might remember, at our August 1st meeting, we had a series of about 10 zoning text amendments, and most of them moved forward and were adopted by the village board at the next meeting, and then 2 of them were tabled. So one was concealed fasteners. There was some confusion about how that would apply to residential buildings, specifically sheds and metal roofs. So have clarified a couple things with Patrick, who I think had the question on that, and still working with Sonia to come up with how that could be clarified, but feel we should just hold on to that until the second zoning text amendment is also kind of ready to go, so we can just do another public hearing with those together. The second one that was tabled was about accessory chicken and beekeeping. If you were here, you remember there was a large number of residents that were here to voice some concerns and ideas about that proposed language, so that was decided to be tabled. Did include a poster that Leanne Rhodes on our team helped me make. This was, so we're gonna have a community conversation, kind of a workshop, more of an informal conversation that's easier to have outside of a formal planning commission meeting. Thursday, October 24th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It'll be in the community room just across the hallway here at Village Hall. So Sonia from Vanderwall and probably Leanne will be here with me as well. Probably Jeff. Okay, Jeff doesn't want to miss it, so he'll be there too. We'll probably have, we're still kind of working on the format, but either kind of tables with different stations focused on certain kind of aspects of this type of use, or small group work that people kind of work on together and then reporting back out. So we're still kind of working on the format for that, but you all are welcome to attend. We'll make sure it's noticed for quorum in case a couple of you do pop in and just want to be flies on the wall, but
Bees on the wall.
bees on the wall. My plan is that, just given this is in later October, probably waiting until the December Planning Commission meeting to come back with sort of a summary of what we heard. If there were any questions or follow-ups, this may not be the only community conversation about this too, depending on where we go and how much consensus we can kind of get to. But I think we're sort of approaching this as a clean slate, that what we came with last time might not be the right fit for Oregon. So just kind of looking at what are the areas that we actually are concerned about and what's the best way to address those in a way that's concise and clear and easy to apply. So stay tuned on that, but just wanted to make sure you all saw this information. This has been shared on our social media, it's posted on the community calendar, and then everybody who attended the public hearing and provided their address to us in August received this poster in the mail as well. So I think that was mailed out last Thursday or Friday. Any questions about those tabled items? We tabled them until tonight, so that's why I had the update tonight.
do we need to reestablish that table motion to a future date?
Probably. Why don't we table both of these until that December? Well, just at least for an update.
Oh, for an update?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be December 5th.
Okay. All right, so I would entertain a motion to continue or to table this until the December 5th Plan Commission to have more information or update?
I'll make that. Eric and Larry.
Yes.
John. Okay. Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right, item 8, Director of Community Development Report, status of development and projects. Want to fill us in? Anything?
You know, things are wrapping up. I don't know if you've, have noticed, there's a lot of activity up in the Greenview Preserve area.
Yep.
Some paths, roadways going in, some very big stormwater detention ponds.
Holy cow, yeah.
I know. I drove up there the other day and I was amazed at the size. And I'm pleased because big ponds are much better than a lot of little ponds. But it looks like they're actually doing a really great job. Our building inspectors are just going 100 miles an hour. Normally, a busy year will be 60 or 70 permits. We passed 70 permits a while ago. So, we are continuing to grow well. Autumn Ridge Phase 3 finally received approval to start building permits. So they were gonna start seeing some homes that probably already.
There's basements going, two basements going in.
Basements going in over there already, okay, good. But we'll be wrapping up some last things with that. Other than that, I don't think, it's kind of a little quiet right now, right? As far as for stuff upcoming, some of the projects that we've kind of had on the burner have been kind of quiet lately, so, but,
249 North Main, wouldn't they be starting soon?
They are waiting their last funding, which the application is just in October here, so they'll be
Oh.
notified in November, and then the plan is still to close,
I thought the
hopefully by
funding
the
was
end of this
coming in.
calendar year. But yeah, they would be starting construction North Point on those townhomes, likely in the winter after closing.
Okay, thank you.
they're getting their ducks in a row. I mean, they're getting their permits and
Yeah, I
approvals and everything, yeah.
I remembered October, but I thought the funding was coming in October, but it turns out that I
Yep.
was
And the
not
last
clear
of
on that.
last of the paving will be going on here just a little bit, includes our Public Works garage is ready to be paved, I think, are they starting tomorrow?
That's the last we heard, yeah.
And we have the basketball courts being, torn up and redone, the 3 basketball courts in town, and Rotary Bike Path, unprecedented. We're gonna have a pavement from A to B, this very soon. And I think I'm forgetting one other paving,
The Keller Alpine Trail.
the Keller Alpine Trail, yeah, that's all torn up now, but it looks great. So,
Excellent,
getting ready for winter.
excellent, just in time. Thank you. Item B, upcoming meeting dates, take a look at those. If anybody's got issues, problems, let Elise know, please. Item C, planning staff meeting agendas, there is none. 9 items for future meetings, we have none at this time. So I will entertain an item 10, a motion to adjourn.
So move, Phil.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, Eric. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries, thank you.
That was packed up. Nice job.